We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. That was proven time and time again. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. There's never been an economy of any under me. It all worked. We had the greatest economy in history. I got the largest tax cuts in history. I got the largest regulation cuts in history.
I would have had the greatest economy in the history of America. And in fact, he said yet last night, until COVID hit, I had the strongest and best economy ever. The data you just put up there accounts for that. You said, let's be fair and let's consider COVID. Is there any accuracy to what Donald Trump says there?
No, I think it is right here. It is right here. He not only didn't have the greatest economy ever, he didn't even have the greatest economy of the last two presidents. 2.6% for Donald Trump, 3.6% for Joe Biden, with, I will tell you, is a completely honest and fair removal of COVID from the statistics.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Now, we know for a fact Trump lies. It's as natural as breathing to him. In fact, it's out of breath you'll find CNN's fact checker after one of Trump's rallies.
The 2020 election, we know that's a flat out lie. Trump said Joe Biden cheats on election. Another lie. Trump said he's leading in, quote, every single poll. He leads in many polls, but trails in a whole bunch of others. Trump said he won South Carolina by 40 or 50 points. That's not true in any primary or general election. He said every legal scholar wanted Roe v. Wade overturned and abortion policy returned to the states. Totally wrong. Multiple legal scholars have told me personally that they had themselves wanted Roe preserved. He said every Democrat, he said for the most part, wanted Roe overturned. A complete reversal of reality. Huge majorities of Democrats supported Roe. Trump said Democrats want to change federal law to allow the execution of babies after birth, another out-and-out fabrication. He said he will, quote, stop Joe Biden's sinister plan to abolish the suburbs. No such plan, of course, exists. And Trump said the BleachBit email deletion software used by Hillary Clinton's team years ago is, quote, so expensive. It is actually free of charge.
That is oldie but goodie. Daniel, wow. Take a sip of water. Take a deep breath.
But a constant lie he continues to say that drives me up the wall. No, not that he won in 2020. Another whopper, that he had the, quote, greatest economy the country's ever seen. With a straight face, he says this, knowing that he left office with less jobs than when he took it.
In fact, only two presidents in American history with fewer jobs the day they left office than when they started. One was President Hoover, and the other was Donald Hoover Trump. Seriously, only two presidents in American history. And look, you may remember my predecessor promised to be the greatest job president in history. Well, it didn't really work out that way. He lost 2 million jobs over the course of his presidency, 2 million. We've created 13.4 million new jobs. We not only recovered all the jobs we lost during the pandemic, we've added millions more. We've seen record lows in unemployment, particularly, and I've focused on this my whole career, particularly for African Americans and Hispanic workers and veterans.
And listen, I know his supporters love to cling to the COVID frame, all while completely overlooking the fact that, one, he has no problem touting his gas prices or inflation during COVID.
All in the wrong places. I had no inflation and I had the greatest economy ever. We had gasoline at $1.87. Now it's $4 or $5. But by the way, they're working together with other countries, sadly, because it's artificial, because they're going to give it up right after the election. You've seen that before. But they're working to get gasoline prices down. It's an artificial reduction. But the gasoline was up to $6, $7, $8 a gallon. And it still is very high. It's much too high. But we had...
He wants the good parts, but ignores the whole telling people to inject bleach thing.
And then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or...
Two, he was the president during that time. You can't just overlook that because it's inconvenient. He was telling people it would go away and lambasting governors and senators for asking for more ventilators.
I have a feeling that a lot of the numbers that are being said in some areas are just bigger than they're going to be. I don't believe you need 40,000 or 30,000 ventilators. You know, you go into major hospitals sometimes, they'll have 2 ventilators. And now all of a sudden they're saying, can we order 30,000 ventilators? So, look, it's a very bad situation. We haven't seen anything like it. But the end result is we got to get back to work. And I think we can start by opening up certain parts of the country, you know.
He woefully mismanaged it. and therefore deserves scrutiny. But anyway, he says this a lot, right? That his economy was the best. And thankfully, MSNBC host and Wall Street financier Steve Rattner had a response to such bogus claims. That it's not true. It's not even close.
But look what's been happening in the last year. Probably people don't realize this. First of all, inflation has come way down. And it is very close, as Jerome Powell suggested in his testimony yesterday. It's getting very close to where the Fed could cut interest rates as soon as September. And secondly, for more than a year, wage growth has been higher than inflation. In other words, the wage growth, the black line, higher than the green line. And so we are making up ground, and it is moving in the right direction.
One of the arguments we've heard, Steve, and we heard it again last night from Donald Trump, is that effectively, if it weren't for COVID, I would have had the greatest economy in the history of America. And in fact, he said yet last night, until COVID hit, I had the strongest and best economy ever. The data you just put up there accounts for that. You said, let's be fair and let's consider COVID. Is there any accuracy to what Donald Trump says there?
No, I think it is right here. It is right here. He not only didn't have the greatest economy ever, he didn't even have the greatest economy of the last two presidents. 2.6% for Donald Trump. 3.6 for Joe Biden, with, I will tell you, is a completely honest and fair removal of COVID from the statistics.
All right.
And the reason something like this is especially important to push back on is because for whatever reason, polls somehow show that large swaths of the population trust the economy more in the hands of Trump than Biden. I know. This is more than the man who resuscitated an almost dead economy that he inherited from the man who tripled the national debt.
Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, one of these nonpartisan fiscal watchdog groups, put this out today, which kind of puts a fine point on it, right? That's who added what to the debt when you compare Trump's term in office with Joe Biden's term in office. And no, you can't blame COVID. They actually break out the COVID spending. That's the bit in the lighter red color there. So yes, Donald Trump and Joe Biden both spent on the pandemic. They had to. But even if you wipe that out, Trump added trillions more to the debt and the deficit than Biden did, regardless of COVID.
To which it is now soaring. Record-breaking stock market, unemployment, wages, inflation falling below target.
When there's a crash, I hope it's going to be during this next 12 months, because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Fox News alert here as we take a look at the markets. And the U.S. stock market continues to hit record high after record high. You're looking at a fresh 300-point gain on the Dow right now, hitting its highs of the session. The S&P 500, which is a snapshot of the broader U.S. stock market, is hitting an all-time high, surpassing the previous record set 2 years ago. So, wow, there continues to be a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of optimism in the U.S. stock market. There's still anticipation the Federal Reserve will cut rates this year.
It's up around 400 points. The Kudlow Trust is doing well. Techs and AI stocks are leading the way.
They say the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay. 12 seconds later.
Finished the week 10-year about 4.14%. And that is going to do it in the 48.30 for the S&P 500. Closing bell sets it right there. Let's send it over to overtime with Morgan and John.
There is few things more frustrating than the fact that the messaging surrounding this economy gets lost amidst the gaffe-off that Trump's team loves. So it's the job of the media to cut through the noise, like this, showcasing the fact that mental acuity is also judged by performance.
Because I believe in this man. I believe in his character. I believe that he has been one of the most transformative presidents in our collective lifetime. I really believe there's a decency to Joe Biden. And I'm old-fashioned. Character matters, but I'm also old-fashioned in this respect. Results matter. Politics is not just performative, not just entertainment. It's about getting things done. And it's been a remarkable 3.5 years from my perspective. It's been, dare I say, a masterclass.
Especially when both candidates have done the job, right? So we look at margins, profit loss, legislation passed, the opinion of those around said leader.
In 2016, you said that. I'm going to surround myself with only the best and most serious people.
Well, I did do that.
This
and we
time,
had tremendous, look, we had the best economy we've ever had. The world has ever seen.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called and Barr a gutless pig. Your second defense secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible.
When you draw on all those conclusions and still somehow come away with the idea that Trump did a better job in regards to the economy, then I'm afraid you might be in a cult.
But I want to challenge the premise. You said the economy, 13.1 million jobs he's created. More.
These are post-COVID jobs. Okay. You know that.
Well,
I mean, that's an artificial number.
No. Then let me stipulate this as an opportunity to engage civilly on this.
Okay.
Fair point. Your president, Donald Trump, lost 2.6 million jobs during his 4 years. We've created 13.1 million. Fine, you can maintain a COVID frame. How about the fact that Joe Biden's created more jobs, 6 times more jobs than the previous 3 Republican presidents combined?
Are you going to tell me?
Sean. Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.